Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. For those of you who've been around a while, you will recognize Michael Whitehouse as a returning friend and guest. Michael, what are we going to talk about today that's going to break people's brains?
We are talking about JV Connect, the dedicated multi-day networking event.
I love it. Now, let's jump right in, and I'm not going to pull any punches because you and I are going to have a really fun conversation. Um, First and foremost, how is JV Connect different from all the other networking that's out there? Because I think people are starting to feel a little bit of a overabundance of networking, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yep. Yeah. So there's really two kinds of networking experiences you'll have. One is the ongoing, that's the membership based one. And the other is the one off where you go to an event and meet a bunch of people for the first time. So this is not that ongoing group. Those groups are great. This is not that. This is the kind of event where you can go to one event for a number of hours and come out with dozens of connections. A well run, long form virtual event is structured so that you get to meet a lot of people effectively. The ideal form should be almost like a fashion show of all kinds of potential partners parading themselves in front of you, because that's how the virtual world is. If you're on Zoom, you can't have those deep conversations in an event. And if you're at a live event and you're having deep conversations, you're actually doing it wrong because you're not meeting enough people. You really should be meeting a lot of people. So it should really functionally be like that fashion show where everyone's parading in front of you and you say, oh, I need to meet you. I need to meet you. I need to meet you. And by the end of the day, if you've done it right, you structure it right, you've been sending out a proper calendar link, your calendar could be booked out for 2 months with great people you need to meet. And that's actually my goal, is that people leave the December one, which is going to be our first one, and they are booked out with great connections through March, at which point we're doing it again.
I love it. Now, let's talk about definitions because I think a lot of people think they know what JV means, but
Mhm.
let's start with what does JV mean to you, and then I want to talk about the connection piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So JV is short for joint venture. And broadly, it means anything where two people are coming together to collaborate and support each other, generally not involving one hiring the other. Money may change hands, but usually it's for performance, as in, I promote your program, you give me a percentage for doing so. That's not the only way of doing it. Sometimes it's sharing audiences, like a giveaway or a summit or a freebie swap. Sometimes it's a collaborative program. We'll put on a program together and both coach it or teach it or run it or whatever it is. But it's basically anywhere people are coming together to collaborate in a form other than you're my client, I'm your contractor. It's more of a peer-to-peer kind of relationship. And the most common forms are things like a launch or launch, summit, giveaway, affiliate promotions, those kinds of things. But the sky's the limit in terms of how it can work and what the possibilities are. And actually, a podcast is an example of a JV. We're doing it right now.
Spoiler alert! Wow, you just broke the fourth wall. Look at that. Um, and I think that's the big thing. So I'm going to talk about who should come because I know a lot of people who are very transactional and they look at any event that they go to as I've got widgets and you're a human being, I'm going to sell you widgets. Who should be coming to this, and more importantly, who shouldn't be coming to this?
So the kind of people who should be coming to this, the people this will do best for, are the ones who are experienced at doing joint ventures of some kind. They know how to do them and they're ready to make deals when they meet the right people. So they're not like, oh yeah, when I build my list or once my program's up or as soon as I figure this out. Those are people who get the most out of it because they're ready to just go. But the other group of people who will get a lot out of this are the ones who aren't ready yet, the ones who are in that place of, I'm trying to build my list, I'm trying to figure this out, because the best way to figure it out is to work with people who have figured it out. So if you've got a 500 person email list and you're trying to figure out what to do with it, well, if you reach out to someone who is established and they've got a program and you say, hey, I love what you're doing, I want to promote it, I've only got a 500 person email list, how can I get myself ready to serve you better? You position it that way, they're like, well, let me tell you about freebie swaps. Let me tell you how to do this. Read this book, take this free course, do this thing, because through that relationship, they're going to cultivate a strong partner. If they mentor you, you're going to want to support them back. That's going to work out great. So anyone along the continuum from I'm interested in joint ventures and how they could work, and I want to see how people do it, up to I do it all the time, and every partner I meet is worth $50,000 for me because we know what to do with them. And that's something we're doing is kind of unique with this, because some people are worried about they're not going to events with that widespread of newbies to rock stars. But the way I'm setting up, first off, on day 3 is an exclusive elite networking mastermind. So that is only for the people who are at that higher level, who are established, who are ready. They all speak the same lingo. They're all ready to make deals if they align. So they've got their advanced area. But what I'm charging the people to come to the 3rd day is coming to the first 2 days. So if they come to the first 2 days, they don't have to pay. The normal ticket for the 3rd day is $1,000, but they can waive that if they come to at least half of the first 2 days, which gives us an event which has a whole lot. I've got, I think, 80 or 90 of people who are registered for the 3rd day will be there for those first 2 days. So if you come in and you're newer and you're middle of the field, then you're going to be a lot of people there who are experienced and ethical entrepreneurs who can kind of show you the ropes and point you in the right direction. And now I'm not going to say every one of them is going to give you hours of their time to mentor you, because they're busy, successful people, but they might hop on a call with you for 30 minutes and share some of their wisdom, because that's how I came up, was all these people supported me. And most of them, that's how they came up. Someone got on a call and supported them, so they want to pay it forward. So really, anyone who's looking to work in that collaborative way. The people who should not come are the ones who are like, I'm going to make a sale. I got a thing. You're going to buy it. People are coming to take. This is not a place to come take. It just won't work well. People look at you funny. So if you don't know how, that's okay. If your why is right, if you're like, I want to help people on sport, I just don't know how this thing works. Totally cool. Come, you're in the right place. But if you're like, I don't need that JV stuff, everyone needs my product because it's amazing, then maybe you should stay home.
And I'm going to say, from my experience, if you've got a quota and you're desperate to sell widgets today, probably you're better to go knock on doors of your actual prospects.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk about this a lot because I've been to a lot of these events, and you are different, and I'm here to support you. A lot of these events at best are time wasters. And we're not going to name names. We're not going to pull anyone apart because that's just not who we are. But how can somebody come? So what mindset should they be bringing, and what things should they come prepared with so that they hit the virtual show floor running and ready to succeed?
That's a great question. So first off, in terms of the time waster thing, I'm well aware of this. We're talking about this before we got started. And I've actually started writing in the blog. If you go to jv-connect.com and click on the blog, I'm basically writing a networking nightmare series. So instead of making all the promises, if you come to this event, you'll get this and this, because they all promise that, I'm making a list of all the things I can't stand, and then how we're not doing that. So the people are like, oh, that's the thing I hate. That's why I wasn't registering it. Oh, you're not doing that. Okay, great. But because one of the biggest time wasters is not focusing on the right goal. My goal for this event, I don't have anything to sell. I don't have a high ticket offer. I don't have, my agenda is that you come to the event, you have such a great value that you say, how do I get my tickets for March before you leave the December event? And then you say, how do I bring some friends? And so I have more people coming. That's the business model. I want to sell registrations. And if we have enough people coming, I get some sponsors in. And none of our sponsors speak more than 3 minutes. So it's not a pitch fest. They get like a little commercial break to share something valuable. But in terms of the mindset they should come in with is first off, that you're coming to work with people, not on them, not at them, but with them. So have an idea of what you're looking for. Who is your ideal partner, or even maybe it's not a partner yet. What are you looking for? You're looking for a mentor. Are you looking for partners? You're looking for people with audiences of one-armed basketball playing midgets, or who is your audience? Who are your friends? Who are the people that you want to come out of there knowing? And what value do you have to offer? I'm sharing through my podcast, the Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast, pre-event training, and I'll also be sharing out training to people who register, that will talk about how to introduce yourself and what to be looking for and how to set up a calendar link so you can send one that sets you up for good conversations and you don't end up in this conversation. You're like, how did we meet? Yeah, what do you do again? Remind me. It's all in the calendar link questions. So, providing that knowledge. But the other thing is be ready for an intensive event. Now, I don't mean, I don't want people to leave the event and be like, oh my God, that was so exhausting and miserable. I want them to leave the event and say, that was pretty intense. That was good. Like a good workout, not like, oh, I sprained something, but like, okay, yeah, I was doing something. We were doing something there.
Worked up a sweat. Yeah.
Yeah. The format of the event is built around 18-25 breakouts, which means 18 people for 25 minutes. And the first two are just, go in, introduce yourself, and the conversation will flow where it will. There's 18 people. There's a bit of an element of chaos in there, and that's on purpose because it gets you past just for 27 years, I've been helping people in the book industry to write books, to get an audience, and blah, 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 blah. You've got this little bit extra time. You're all going around about 30 seconds each, and then you got a few minutes left. What do we do now? Leaders will emerge. People will step out and be like, hey, we got 5 minutes left. Why don't we do this? Or I had a question for you. Or how about this? And then the breakouts after that will all have a project. And some will be a project, a little Kobayashi Maru style. They'll be not necessarily something I think you could do in 25 minutes, but the exercise of trying to do it will reveal more. For example, one of them will be go into your breakout room with these 18 people and build a giveaway. Now, you may end up in a room where no one knows structurally how a giveaway works. So you're going to have a very interesting conversation, but I'm going to make very clear. If you don't do it, that you're not being graded. It's the exercise of it. It's the process of it. But someone, if you end up in a room and you're there with someone who builds giveaways, if you're there with like Michael Neely or Steve Erickson, you might come out with a giveaway and a website for it, because they just go to their tool like, we made a giveaway. And that's great if that happens. And then, of course, like, wow, that guy knows giveaways. If I want a giveaway, that's my guy. But more importantly, as you go through that process, you'll go through and be like, well, I guess let's share what freebies we have if we were to do a giveaway. And then we share all our freebies. Like, oh, I thought you were the book guy, but you've got a freebie about time management? Interesting. Tell me more about that. Yeah. So there'll be one about giveaways, one about summits. There'll be, I haven't come up with all the themes yet, but each one will have some task to complete. And there'll be no fluff questions. No, like, share your favorite vacation or, you give us a picture of your dog. I cannot stand the getting to know, what I want to get to know about you is how we're going to work together. I'll learn about your dogs and pets and vacation habits once we're working together. But, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to get along with people. I want positive relationships, but we're here to build business relationships, not find buddies to drink wine with. You can drink wine later after you succeed. But
by the way, one of my friends, he was explaining his networking group he built, and I'm like, dude, you built a social club. And he's like, son of a he's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, you didn't ask, but literally it was, everybody got together and they all had a great time, and they'd go for beer or they'd go to a wine tasting, and I'm like, so when do you talk business? Oh crap.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
and there is certainly something to that. It's like if you get the right people together and they're a drinking club, but they're all millionaires, business will come from it. But you need to be very intentional, and it has to be exactly the right people. If you're building an event like JV Connect, where anyone can go to the website and register, the structure has to drive to an outcome, and that's why I'm building the structure specifically to drive to the outcome. And the other thing I'm doing between the breakouts is we're gonna have other content, nothing long and distracting, but I've got some guest experts coming in, like Krista from Infinite List is going to be talking about giveaways, and Steve Erickson is going to come in and talk about summits. And but 5 minutes, 4 minutes, quick. Here's, if you don't know about summits, here's what's great about summits. Now go talk about summits. So part of it is to give you that education. And part of it's also, this is advanced level virtual networking. You meet people in a large breakout room, you're going to say, okay, there's 6 people in that room I want to follow up with. And I really want to do it now. I don't want to do it 2 days from now as I'm going through all my notes and going through chat. Like, I want to do it now. At least that's how I like to work. And so I'm building the event. So that time while you're listening to someone teach you about maybe you know how giveaway works. You know, you're more advanced. You don't need to learn how giveaway works. You're listening. You're hearing. You're listening for if you can get a nugget. You're also over there in the chat shooting off the private messages. Hey, Jeff, great to meet you in that room. I'd love to get on a call. Here's my calendar link. Let me know if that works. Hey, Susie, great to meet you. I like what you're doing with the fish. Let's get on, let's get on a call. Here's my link. So it gives you that space in between the breakouts to kind of consummate that. If you're not that advanced, if you're not at the point where you're ready to like be rocking the chat, it's fine. Good content's going on. Sponsors are sharing useful things. Some guest education sharing some useful things. But the point is, you come out of that and you look at your calendar and there's 22 meetings by the end of the day, and you're like, whoa, I don't even know what I did today. But there were a lot of people, and I've got a bunch of notes, and I've got a bunch of calendar items, and I've got a bunch of emails going out and a bunch of emails coming in. Wow, a lot of things happened. And if you're super organized, you've probably got a spreadsheet and you're keeping track of things, your screenshot. I don't know what organized people do, but apparently organized people, they keep track of everything going on there. And if you're more of a fly by the seat of your pants ADHD extrovert, which is me, not saying everyone has to be, then you come out and you're like, whoo, all right, look at my calendar. Something happened there. But either way, it is structured in a way so you don't just leave and say, well, that was fun. Wonder what happened. Yep. You leave and you say, that was fun. Wow, look at what I've got from that now. I've got these LinkedIn connections. I've got these calendar appointments. I've got all this now happening because I followed the system and built something.
I love that. And I want to point out a couple of things. So Michael is that extrovert and I am the introvert, and we connect very well. So I want to point out that this is not, for the introverts in the world, this is not one of those events where you're going to leave, you're going to feel dirty and abused. It's, there's fun, you're going to be engaged. But if you don't want to be engaged, it's probably not an event worth coming to, because with Michael, I know for a fact, you get out of it exactly what you put in. And, if you're one of those people that wants to go to a networking event and sit in the corner, you're not going to accidentally fall into a deal, or a deal isn't accidentally going to fall into your hands. So for the introverts, bring your coffee, take a deep breath, and you can rest tomorrow.
And I will say, you almost can sit in the corner because of the way this is formatted. You still have to do something. You can't do nothing, because if you're not putting yourself out there, you need to be reaching out. But that's how introverts tend to network. Extroverts would be like, yeah, I'm going to step in front of the whole room and tell you my life story. The introvert tends to sit back and listen and say, I like that one. I like that one. And the event is really built for that to work as well. So you're in that room, there's 18 people. And I think a lot of them will you'll start by going around, everyone says something, whether it's an introduction or what you bring to the table or what you're looking for a stage or whatever. But, she'll do your little thing, and you might only speak the minimum. You do your thing, you're like, oh, I speak on this, I'm looking for this. You don't say another word. But now you're listening to everyone else. The introvert superpower. At least I've been told that.
It is.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But but yes, so the extroverts are out there and they're leading the conversation, they're doing their stuff. The introverts are sitting there listening and saying, oh, I like how Jeff stepped up there and did that. I think I want to talk to him. And then you're there in the chat and you're like, hey, Jeff, I'd love to connect. We should get on a call. Or, could we do this? And here's my link and whatever. So you can be very reserved. That's the thing with Zoom. You're not standing in the middle of a room. You're one of the boxes. You can be very reserved, but also get a lot of value out of it without having to be big. You could meet dozens of people and barely say a word. Or, if you're at the extreme, let's go to the far corner case. You're super shy. You're not a great speaker at all. You could get up and say something like, I'm really shy, but I do have information, I do this, and there's information about it here, and I put the link in the chat. I'll let the next person speak. And you're shy and mysterious, and you do everything in the chat. And you could still get tremendous value because they're all parading in front of you like a fashion show.
And I think that's the fun part, that you and I both live in the chat, and probably for very similar outcomes, but maybe different reasons. But I think what I like about you is you're very inclusive. Now, you credit somebody with this, and I'm going to ask you about the question answer introduction, because I find a lot of people are really bad at introducing themselves, and I feel like coming to something like JV Connect, you should be really clear on what you do.
Yep.
Um, and I can't remember who you credit with, but it's you know how.
Yep. Yeah. Mitch Russo is who I learned that from. And so it's a very simple introduction. And when he did it at a summit I was running for him. And when he first said it, like my brain was neurologically happy. And like everyone must introduce themselves this way from now on because it's so clear. Because so many introductions are blank hire me for blank because blank, and so I blank 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 blank. And I'm like, wait, okay, who hires you? I'm taking notes. Okay, these people hire them for this problem. Okay. So what I love about this is it sets the frame and then fills it. So you know how, and then you state a problem that people would understand. What I do is, and you state a solution that people would understand. So and the great thing is, if you just start with, almost think yourself like an AI with a prompt, finish this sentence, you know how. If you just say, you know how, the words will come to you. And then what I do is, and the words will come to you. So I've had times I've gone around a room after they've introduced themselves, and I've done it for everyone in the room. So it's very quick and simple. So for example, you know how most people find networking stressful and upsetting and often unprofitable? What I do is teach people to network profitably with ease. So that first question does a number of things neurologically. First off, it's a question. People love questions. When you hear a question, your brain's like, must answer question. And generally, the easy answer is yes. You know how most people hate networking and find it stressful. Yes, I get that. And it's either yes, I know, I've heard, or yes, this guy right here, I know what you're talking about. So now you've got the frame. Now you're like, okay, that's a problem that I now agree exists. We are now talking about networking is hard. What I do is teach people to network profitably with ease. And you're like, ooh, that sounds good. I hate networking. I never make money at it. You make it profitable and easy. Tell me more. And that's the goal of any good introduction. No introduction is going to make someone say, take my money. You don't have enough bandwidth. They're not paying attention. You don't have enough credibility. You have credibility with this because they said yes to begin with. And what's funny is it's clearly a rhetorical question when you're going around a room. But I have heard many times someone left their mic on by accident, and you hear someone go, yep. Like they don't even realize they're answering. It just comes out. So it creates that engagement. And then, and then it makes you want to know more. You're like, well, what's your technique? How do you network profitably with these? What makes it easy? Is it a technology? Is it a strategy? Is it a mindset? Is it a course? Is it a exercise routine? Now you want to know more. And so if I just say that, and then I'm like, next, then you're going to be in the chat being like, Michael, tell me more. I want to know more about this. So this is the technique we're going to teach everyone, because it's also super fast. What's that take? 8 seconds to say that. So if you go into a room, you've got 25 minutes, 18 people can go through and rip through their Russo intro in 3 or 4 minutes. And it's just boom, 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 boom. And then now you've got 14 more minutes to do whatever else you're going to do. Or you can use it as a intro to what you're going to do. So for example, we're talking about, there's going to be one where it's looking for stages. So if you're a speaker, say what you're looking to speak on. If you are looking for speakers, say what kind of speaker you're looking for. So I would say, start with your Russo intro, and then what do you speak on? So now 40 seconds each, we've gotten around the room. It's taken 15 minutes. There's still going to be 8 minutes left. And everyone has now said, I speak on this. I'm looking for this. And we get the fashion show parade, while also quickly introducing ourselves. And it avoids what I love about Twos is 2 sentences, not 3, not 4, not 5, not one long compound sentence, 2 sentences. Shorter is better. And so once you can wrap your head around that, then you do, because there's another format, which is a 17-second intro, but I believe it has something like 14 variables. So you look at the script, it's like blank, 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 blank. So you can't do that on the fly. If you show up late and you didn't get the training ahead of time, good luck coming up with, I know, because I tried. It's really hard, and and also in order to come up with a good intro, you need good clarity. I do something called an intro crafting session sometimes, people, which turns out to be a coaching session, because the intro is easy once you have the clarity. But if you don't have the clarity, you're like, I'm not sure what my, how is. That's because you don't know what your business is. And once you clarify that, but what if you know what your business is, it's super easy to throw one together and on the fly. And sometimes, you might do 2 or 3 things. And it's not because you're scattered. You actually do 2 or 3 completely separate things. And your main business is social media marketing, but you also speak on inspiration, and then you also have you're also a minister on the side. Well, in the room on what speaking stage you're looking for, you're going to talk about what you speak on. But in the room of what promotion, who you're looking to promote you're going to talk about your social media program. So you can just come up with a new intro on the fly for what you're doing once you have your head wrapped around what you do and that very simple script.
And by the way, as a full-time networker, my big piece of advice, 2 pieces of advice. Number 1, the question mark is your greatest friend. Ask questions. And number 2, if you don't know what you do, don't expect me to figure it out. I'm not that smart. I want to, but I love, I hear a lot of people who introduce, keep it under 30 seconds or less. But, I've had people say, 7 years ago, I went to, kindergarten and I learned this. And it's like, I've lost the thread by the time you get to present day. So
Yes.
I love the punchiness of it and to the point of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's very clear as to what problem you solve. And because that's the thing too, is someone might hear that question and that's all they know. And they're like, I want to meet with you. I want to collaborate. Because if you say something that's super relevant to them, especially depending on what the particular challenge is, then it may show that you're in alignment with them philosophically, morally, politically, some other way that really, really grabs their attention. For example, if someone says, how a lot of Christian entrepreneurs have trouble doing business in a way that aligns with their faith. Well, a few people in the room are gonna be like, you get on my call, get on my calendar, because you said Christian. And it was right up there, and you said faith and Christian, and it was really clear what you do. They don't even know what you do for them. They just know you're in their tribe. You're with their people. Whereas if that was I work with all kinds of entrepreneurs to help them work in alignment, including people of faith.
Buzzword.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, 4 lines in is that they buried the lead. And so someone might not key into like, oh, that's what's really important to you. So it puts the important part up front.
And honestly, I don't care what your religious beliefs are, what your political beliefs are, but if it's important to you, put it up front so that you're not going to waste. I once was at a conference where 2 people sat down to discuss their goals, and then at some point they realized that you're a Republican, he's a Democrat, and all of a sudden I'm separating them because they've had one drink too many and they're punching each other, and I'm like, what the hell? Why not get that out of the way up front and say, look, I support purple people who drive race cars. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and the other important thing too is that and this is a much larger issue that we don't have time for, but that a lot of these big political divides, if you can step back from it and realize, none of us are trying to destroy society and eat babies. We just, we all want the same thing, but in different ways. Then Republicans and Democrats can work together. Liberals and conservatives can work together. There might be some that are so antithetical they couldn't, but there are certainly people that I've collaborated with who I don't vote the same way as them. I don't agree with them politically or philosophically, but they help me, I help them. And someone's going to work with them. It might as well be me, because then I can take my part of it. I mean, even if you're being strictly like mercenary, my side must win. Well, I would certainly rather that someone on my side gets the resources to have this deal to put into the political agenda than someone on their side. Now they got 2 people on their side. So, but beyond that, it's really, we're all trying to, should be trying to do good, make the world better, help each other. And if that means that someone of the other political band, like, it's not like there's 2 teams. It's not like
a spectrum of humanity, right?
Yeah, it's like support the Red Sox so the Yankees will lose. Like that's not a thing in business.
It doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of the polarizing voices. It's very much about scarcity.
Mhm.
Now I could talk to you all day, and you are one of my favorite people. How can people learn more about this, or should they just go and buy their ticket at jv-connect.com?
They should definitely just go and buy their ticket. But if they insist on knowing more, they can also go to jv-connect.com. So there's a main page on there that has a summary of the event, and we got some great networking guest hosts coming in, which they will also be running networking components just in their style, not mine, which will be a lot of fun. There's the blog where I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of things. As I said, I'm going to be sharing a lot of things JV Connect is not, because that really sets it apart, because every event's going to say you'll meet amazing people and it'll change your life and you'll make $1 bazillion and it'll be fantastic. But read the blog, and I will share all kinds of things that I'm specifically making sure we're avoiding, so that you can see, like, this is really the shape of what we're doing. But it's all at jv-connect.com.
I love it. And for those listening, if you haven't met Michael, I highly, highly encourage you to. He is exactly who you meet is who he is. He's a fabulous human being. We have a lot of conversations, and I'm just going to share that through networking, he's managed to meet two of my heroes. I'm now down a point. I don't know if you knew this. I met Bob Berg first, but Michael met him second. Michael has met Steve Sims first, and he's up on my bucket list. So just want you to realize that Michael is the guy who knows a guy, and he also knows some gals. But if you haven't met him, connect with him on LinkedIn, and I promise you meet a sincere person. Just don't pitch slap him, because he doesn't take that well.
Well, I'll just try to, sell you coaching services after
Uh,
I post your pitch slap on LinkedIn and critique it publicly.
yeah. And
Yep.
yeah, I do that as well. I don't know if that's very Christian of me, but I'm okay with it. It just
I'm offering free coaching.
there you
What
go. It's a
what
gift to people.
yeah. What more generous could I be than offer them free coaching and publicity?
Yep. There you go. And I do know it comes from that place of sincerity, and it's just, please stop.
Yeah.
If you're
It's
this
sincerity and
bad at,
snarkiness.
yeah,
But
I always tell people the sincerity is there, the sarcasm is a bonus. I just,
yeah.
if you don't want sarcasm, don't pitch slap me. That's just all I'm gonna say. Anyways, Michael, I adore you. I had a great time with you. Thank you for being on the show with me yet again.
Thank you for having me yet again. And I'll see you in December, I hope.
Absolutely.